Make AI agents are finally here. They're the new rave. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can implement them and build a business that runs primarily off of AI and VAs, cut a lot of your cost and increase your profit margins. And so in this video, I'm going to specifically be walking you through how to set up Make AI agents. I'm going to use Slack, but you can use Telegram, WhatsApp, even text message with Twilio. There's a very, very wide variety of things that you can do with these AI agents. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can implement them into your business. Inside of my Slack, you can see that I've asked it, for example, to give me 10 new content ideas and put them all into a Google document. Now, here is what it generated for me. Another example here, I gave it a voice note to give me 3 different scripts, and I got 3 different scripts here based on the voice note that I sent. I'm going to show you how to implement all of this and exactly how you can implement AI agents into your business so that you can make more money. But first, what actually is an AI agent? An AI agent is an autonomous AI vehicle to be able to perform actions on your behalf, such as scheduling things on your calendar or implementing things into Google Docs. Now, anything that you could do with these no-code tools can be done without a specific trigger using AI. So I can, in general plain English, talk to my AI like a personal assistant, and it will perform tasks on my behalf. It's no longer just writing copy and doing the basic stuff that AI could do years and years and years ago. It's now using AI to be able to perform specific tasks. So let's get right in the video, and I'll show you exactly how I set all of this up. So one of the things that makes new AI agent system allows us to do that old regular automations didn't allow us to do, split things out systematically based on an AI, right? So I can tell it in plain English to go out and do something that I couldn't do before, right? Before I'd have to enter a specific keyword or enter it, some way and route it amongst a bunch of different places. One example of that is this automation right here that routes some of our copywriting stuff into make.com, right? So you can see inside of here, you can see all these different places that things have to go depending on what these action items are. Depending on certain things, it's going to go to different places versus using AI agents, we're able to really consolidate that down and let the AI determine what needs to happen, right? Now, all of these things can be in different automations and they can be done through AI. So let me show you how we actually build these AI agents and how we are utilizing them inside of our business. Now, you can start out and build this inside of literally any communication platform that you want. We typically use Slack because that's where our business relies on, but I've seen people use Telegram, WhatsApp, anything that you want to use, you can use that inside of here. So first thing we're going to do is go into Slack and we're going to set up a watch new events trigger. In here, we can choose our hook, and I'll just add a new hook inside of here, and I'll just say AI agent YouTube test, right? And then inside of here, we can do a new channel message, and then we'll grab the channel. So in here, I'm just gonna use this one that I created, AI assistant, and we'll save it. Then we can add a make AI agent, and I'll show you how to set that module up in a second, and then we can have Slack return that message. So we'll do that by hitting the create a message. Then we can select our bot. Then we can add in our channel ID, which is going to be this channel ID in here. Then we will show the advanced settings, and we need to add in a thread message ID, so the timestamp. So that way it doesn't continually just send a message back and forth to itself. Inside of the text, we can just grab the make AI response, and then we're going to click the yes button next to reply broadcast. Now, if you want to add an icon, URL, or whatever in here, you can do that. I always like to title mine just so I know what they are. YouTube test assistant. Now, a more practical way that we utilize this is we use multiple different things as the return, and there's multiple different employees that we have. So right now we're in process of building out AI org chart, which basically looks like this. This is me and my business partner, and I'm not going to go super in detail into this, but for example, our personal assistant is going to communicate with our head of staff, who's going to communicate with our chief marketing officer, who's going to communicate with the content team, the paid ads team, that kind of thing. And so this is what our org chart looks like, and so to build this out, we're using AI agents to be able to implement this. Now, a lot of people have been implementing similar things in NAN, but I like make.com. It's a lot easier to use, and I think it's more practical. But that's what we're going to be talking about on the Webby Masterclass that we're doing. And so if you want to learn exactly how we're implementing AI, just go sign up for the webinar, first link in the description. We can choose our agent. So these are agents that I've created so far. Inside of here, you can use Claude, you can use OpenAI. There's a lot of different connection types that you can use depending on what you're looking at. So we're going to be using XAI for like research and things like that. We're going to be using Anthropic for our copy. We're going to be using OpenAI for general inquiries. And for our AI agents, we're typically using OpenAI primarily. And then we're also going to be using Gemini as a model as well in the upcoming future when we do more search and research things as well. Gemini is getting there, but it's not quite there yet. But inside of here, you can go in here and add your OpenAI keys. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you can just go look at the make.com article on how to integrate OpenAI if you haven't already. But for example here, I'm just going to use this OpenAI connection. and we'll name the agent here whatever we want. This will be fed into OpenAI, right? So inside of here, we can put in whatever we want. Let's just do head of content for this example, and then we'll use this model, right? I like to use 4.0 Mini for this. Doesn't have to be super complex, but if you're running a super complex where you're outsourcing to a lot of tools or you're asking very complex questions, you can change that in here. But I recommend just using 4.0 for now, or using the mini version. It's just going to be a lot cheaper if you're using heavy usage, which AI assistants will require a lot more usage and a lot more tokens. I'd recommend using 4.0 Mini. Now, system prompt, I'm just going to tell it, you are the head of content at Smooth Operator Solutions, and you're responsible for managing my content team. Boom, and we'll save that, right? And since this one already exists, I'm just going to throw one after it. And then inside of here, we can add in additional tools. So I can add in any sort of automation here. I'll show you how to set up those sub-automations in a bit. Now, this thread ID, I like to use this thread timestamp. Then we can provide additional instructions in here. So I usually tell it pretty similar things. You are an AI that is responsible for producing content for Smooth Operator Solutions. You will use the other tools here as employees. Now, inside of the messages here, I just use this message box to clearly input my text here from the automation. Now, one other thing is if you're feeding it voice notes, you're going to want to set up a router that basically runs to 2 different places. Now, one thing you can do so you don't have to set this up twice if you're going to run it with a router is you can just put your voice note up here, which will be basically Slack download a file. So if this is a voice note, then we can do Slack download a file, and then the URL private download, which we can get from in here. Then we can add in a whisper module to download that voice note, which is going to be create a transcription, not translation, transcription. Boom. We'll add that in. We can use that download a file, and then we don't need to prompt it or anything like that. We can just save that as is. Then over here, we can basically set a variable. So we'll set this as a variable. Boom. We'll set that variable as message. Then over here, we can basically get a variable, run another one. So if it's text, it will set that as just the text is the variable. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. But I don't usually send it voice notes. If you do want to send it voice notes, you can set it up this way though. So for now, I'll just delete this. So inside of this message, we can see that we just have the text here. This is going to be what the message is and what we're telling the agent. So if I tell the agent something in Slack, if I shoot it a message, it will basically send it directly to there. Now inside of the tools, we can add in any sort of other scenarios, and I'll show you right now how to make a sub tool. First thing we want to do is save this, and then we'll go back to our dashboard and create a new scenario. So inside of here, we'll set our first module as whatever we want it to be. It doesn't really matter because this is going to be an on-demand scenario. Let's say we wanted to be able to generate short-form content scripts. I'll just come in here and message an assistant. You can set this assistant up in platform.openai.com, hit the little assistance button, and then you can set up all your instructions in there so that you don't have to do it anywhere else. Instead of doing a chat completion, I'll just do an assistant for this example where I'll use my content GPT, which is available inside of my program. Just book in a call in the first link in the description and you can get access to that. Inside of this message box, we'll just throw in a message. And now you'll see that we don't have any scenario variables that are actually custom variables. So we'll just come down here to the input structure and we're going to set our variables. In here, we'll get the content idea. We'll have to throw underscore on here. And then for the description, we can add in, this is the idea of, or for the short form content script. And now remember that these variables are going to be AI generated. Then in here on this new line, we might put something else. So for example, if we wanted to set something up to go check a calendar, you could put the start date and the end date in here as your scenario variables. In here, I'm just going to use purely the content idea just to keep it as simple as possible for you. But keep in mind, you can add in as many variables as you want there, and that's what the AI assistant is going to be generating in its output to basically be putting in here. So if you don't see these appear, just enter something in the message, hit save, and then go back into it. After it loads in here, then we can get rid of this message, and we can just hit this input button, and then we can see our content ideas are our input here. Now, we do need to set this to on demand so that it can just run whenever, and we will not activate the scenario for now. I'll activate it in a second so you can see just kind of how it works. So basically come in here and search scenarios, and then we'll do return output. Now inside of here, we'll have to add outputs. So again, down here, we'll have to add these. So inside of here, we'll do content script, content underscore script. This is the final content script. Boom, save. Now, this variable, we're going to set this content script as the result that OpenAI produced, right? So now, basically, when this automation triggers, we're going to write the script, and we're going to set the outputs. So inside of here, we'll save this, boom, and this will be our sub module, right? So So we'll just call this sub agent. So then we'll come back, we'll save the changes here, and then we'll activate this scenario. Then we can come back over here, we'll reload this page. And then we can click into the AI assistant and set our sub agent. So in here, we'll add our tools. It's called sub agent YT. And then we'll give it a description. So it will be able to figure out from this statement when it can use this specific tool. So we'll add that one. Now, if we want to add other tools, we can add as many tools as we want in here. If you're finding errors, right now, this sometimes will not fill if you go back and edit the automation. So if I go back into the automation, change anything about it, I'll have to re-enter this text. So if you're finding errors where it's like, hey, I don't know what to do, or it doesn't actually work, that is when you need to go back in here, edit this piece, and then it will kind of fix it up. Now, we can add as many of these as we want. Another example of one of these is the Google Doc automation that I set up, which I'll show you real quick. This Google Doc agent is basically using the scenario inputs as the message and the type, and then also the document link and the agent name as the output. So the input here is going to be, it's going to format the text and generate a title. Then we're going to add that to a Google Doc inside of here. Then we will get the Google Doc link back out of it. So that way I can send to Slack, for example, hey, generate me 5 short form content scripts and put them all into a Google Doc. And it will basically run this whole thing. So this is the basics of how to use AI assistants at make.com. Essentially, the goal is to have one main assistant that you communicate with and then have multiple other assistants that have multiple other tools underneath them. That is how you're going to build a real infrastructure with this business. And if you want me and my team to personally come in and help you implement all these AI infrastructures and AI agents and everything like that into your business, just go ahead and click the first link in the description, book in a call. And also, if you want to join my program, same thing, you got to book in a call. I don't accept everybody and I don't want to work with everybody. So if you think you might be a good fit, if you're making money and you want to make even more money, just go ahead and click the first link in the description and I'll see how I can help you out.